writers are telling me, and that's what I'm writing.
This is still a script we're talking about, right, Wes?
We've decided to cross over out of films into our reality. The only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Oh my God.
The bad man's getting awful close.
You're gonna have to make a choice.
What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. First, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, how it could have been better. Really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with another special effects extraordinaire, Bill Hunt. Bill Hunt, this is one of his early films that he worked on, and he was doing it with the previous special effects guy, Howard Berger and K&B. Man, Bill had a great story growing up outside Nashville, and then he makes his journey to Hollywood, which was wild how he got out there, getting advice from the likes of like legends like Dick Smith and many more. And then he goes out to New Zealand because he says, you know what, I really want to just say I worked on Lord of the Rings. And then he gets it out there, meets his wife, and the rest is history. And really cool to see somebody that loved horror so much as a kid. His first movie he works on, Jason Goes to Hell, the mask that he designed that they didn't know was going to be like this big thing because he came in at the end. It is on the cover of Fangoria magazine in his first year of working in Hollywood. Great stuff. Bill's great. So if you haven't heard that, make sure you go back and check it out. And for this week, we are talking this sequel that we're talking about, I think is on the Mount Rushmore of the sequels that changed it all. And maybe we'll get more into it, but like, I think of it in the esque of like a Psycho 2. Because it kind of like reinvented. You wouldn't think that they would ever make a Psycho 2. And then when we saw it, it was like, wow, you're thinking, wow, this is the 7th movie in the franchise. For reinvention to happen, Wes Craven is a genius. But before I talk about if the people are sleeping this entire movie, I got to introduce you to my partner in this sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you?
I'm doing good, Doug. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Now, this was the first time you've ever seen this, right?
No, I think I did see it. But I don't remember. I did not remember it at all. Okay. Because clearly because I had so many notes just for the first 5 minutes and then realized it was a dream. So I kind of like all my notes went out the window for that part. But yeah, I was unsure if I was going to like this movie just because I know it's very different. What I did like a lot about it, and it's such a good movie, but a few things. One, you can see a lot of Scream in this movie that you can see what he's done with Scream. But Freddy is very different in this movie, right? He's more like the first two Nightmare on Elm Streets than the comedy Freddy later on. Like he really didn't have that many one-liners. It was more about the fear of Freddy and like Freddy being a monster than anything else. So, and his look was very different. Like,
because they had to make him different because the movie, that's the one thing I know. Robert had to play Freddy in this movie. He had to. So that's why they made him so different. So it was like, okay, it's not the Freddy that you see in the movies. It's a different looking Freddy. He's like more jacked. He's like not as large as Super Freddy.
But his face was very polished. Like it was like it was like the makeup was very different, and the creativity in some of the things in this movie is just, And again, I grew up. Like I said, I'm not a horror fan. I wasn't a horror fan, but I did watch a lot of the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Streets. And the one thing with Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think we said this before, is the creativity in every Nightmare on Elm Street is wild, right? It's Jason or Mike Myers, their kills basically. Stabs, or slices or whatever. Every kill is always different in Nightmare on Elm Street, and very unique and so creative. So, that's very cool. And this movie, what a creative idea. A movie inside of a movie. That's like, who would think that something like that would work? But it does.
Somehow Wes did it. He gets to this point. I'm not saying that he was still obviously doing a lot at that point, but if you look at his IMDb, it was like, I feel like 88, 89, he did Shocker. Do you remember the Shocker movie? When
I remember, I never saw it, but I remember it.
Yeah, he directed that, and I'm sure I'm not gonna pull his IMDb, but it was like he like did this, and it was like boom. Then after this, he does Vampire in Brooklyn, Scream, and then
okay, so Scream was after this, right?
Scream's after this, yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that I mean, obviously the phone call is very screamish, from the movie. But another thing is Ghostface is very similar to Freddy in that, and this is a common theme in a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Street. He's very clumsy, right? He gets knocked around a lot, and in this movie he gets knocked around. But that's something that's in all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and Ghostface the same thing. Like, so you could definitely see he pulled a lot from Nightmare on Elm Street to create Scream.
And he can't defeat a stuffed dinosaur.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, and I'm gonna the kid in this movie deserves an Oscar,
dude. He plays the creepiest kids ever, man.
And if you took Nightmare on Elm Street out of this movie and just made the movie about the kid and what he was doing, you have a horror movie in itself. Like, he's almost like a Damien, kind of like kid. But his acting, I mean, he's such a young kid, but his acting was incredible. Like, it really was for a young kid. I mean, like, the lines that he says and remembers and his facial expressions and the thing, like, he did an incredible job. I thought he, without a doubt, was the best. I mean, like, one of the best kid actors I've ever seen in like a movie.
Yeah, no, he's great, dude. Pet Sematary. He even has some great lines in Kindergarten Cop. He was on Full House for a while.
Is he the penis kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought so. I wasn't sure, but then so the kid's great. I mean, did he have like much of a career as he got older?
No, I think he maybe got out of it. I don't know. Maybe he made it put it away.
If you're a 9-year-old and you're making Nightmare on Elm Street and Pet Sematary, it's gonna mess you up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So my big question, because we'll get into the particulars of this question when we get to the points in the movie when we're talking about it. But like, how much are they awake in this movie? Because there's a few times I was like thinking, oh, this is really happening, and then we see them like wake up, and then we see them reference what happened when they were sleeping. But then later in the movie, the same thing happens, and it's like, oh wait, we didn't feel an earthquake at the hospital. I'm like, so what parts of this are real?
100%. And it was extreme. It's funny. It was extremely confusing because you really, again, I'm thinking maybe the whole movie was a dream, right? Like, she wakes up because she's an actress and all that stuff. But as confusing as that plot line is, and not knowing what's real, what really happened, what didn't happen, it really didn't matter. Right?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Because again, the whole, I mean, you don't see a lot of Freddy until the end, and at the end you just see a lot of Freddy. But it was confusing. And I definitely had a lot of questions of when she's sleeping or she's up and what's going on. Like, the fact that, okay, listen, I've never been through an earthquake. I know Jersey had it recently. I don't even feel it, so I must have been sleeping. But if you live in a town when you have one earthquake's a lot. 2 earthquakes is a lot. I counted. There were 7 earthquakes in a matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah,
okay. If you have more than 2 earthquakes in a week, don't you think it's time to maybe we got to get out of the state for a little bit? Let's let things settle. Like she said, we had 5 earthquakes before the other 2 happened in the movie. Yeah. So 5 earthquake and you're still hanging around?
Well, it's like the people that live in Tornado Alley. And it's like, I'm just gonna go about my day as normal.
Okay, but that's one tornado. Right? You have to get through it. And I get it. You live here. You got random earthquake. Fine, but if you're having more than 2 earthquakes in 1 week, I think you pack up, go somewhere else, let it settle down, and you don't stay there for 5 earthquakes.
Yeah.
And then there are 2 more in the movie.
Yeah, want to hear something really cool? So that when this movie was written, obviously, how could you write a movie and think, oh, there's going to be an earthquake in California? So this movie, they wrote the movie, they started filming it, the earthquakes happened. They're like, oh, let's add that element to it. So a lot of those pickup shots are actual earthquake damage. They went around and just stole shots. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so they added. Obviously, cool. They didn't. It's only they were timing out the Freddy slice crack in the wall. But so no, let's get into it.
Well, since you just mentioned that, so was that Freddy slice, or was that just from the earthquake? But it happened to make a slice that looked like Freddy did it.
Great question. It's like when they look at toast and they think it looks like Jesus or something. Or
okay. Right. Okay. And here's the other question I have. So in this movie, and maybe I missed it because they focused so much on the glove, but it looked like Freddy wasn't wearing a glove. Like he had blades in his hands at one point.
Oh, yeah. Because you saw his tendons, right? Yeah.
So does he have so is he not wearing a glove in this movie?
I guess he's not.
Because they were focusing so much on the mechanical hand, which even that didn't make sense. Because why are they making it mechanical Freddy hand?
Yeah,
it was
that was kind of weird.
One thing they would make it, it was almost like
even the fact that he was going to slice his own hand off in order to put on that new hand was a little weird. Because why not just use the finger knives? But
he's like a chameleon, right? You can cut off a part of his body and just grows back.
Yeah,
so
regenerates, yeah. So yeah, you mentioned so the beginning of the movie, we open up, we get Freddy, we see him hammering and out. One thing, did you notice a lot of the throwbacks to the original? Sure. I didn't count them, but there's a bunch. Even the opening one, it's like him making the glove and the hammering of it is like this good throwback. But what's really crazy is like, again, I agree with you. I forgot that this was a dream right in the beginning. But talk about like this would have been like an epic beginning of the movie.
Oh,
and they're just all hanging out like, oh, this is awesome, this glove. And it starts moving. They're like, oh yeah, maybe there's a radio frequency. And then it goes just ape shit.
Well, I watched this with my daughter, and after I realized it was a dream, then I was like, well, that makes sense because they just killed off about 15 people in the first 5 minutes of the movie, that were kind of important to the movie. So, but yeah, it was definitely a cool scene, and they didn't hold back, because like the one question I did have, and obviously a dream, I was like, they made this glove, but why are they using real blades?
That's true for a movie, right? Yeah, why? Yeah, it should be like plastic. Why we don't need real blades or dull them out or something,
right? Like I wonder, like, do they ever do that in movies? Like like with the swords and knives and like, do they ever use? I mean, if they are, you have to, like you said, I imagine they dull it out a little bit. I can't imagine a movie. I'm picturing they use that plastic one that the knife just goes into itself.
Yeah. Oh, remember those? Those are so much fun for like Halloween. Yeah,
that's great for kids. So you're running around with knives stabbing each other. That's a good Halloween gift.
That's a good image, right? But yeah, no, I would hope they're not using anything close to real. Yeah, no, that'd be wild. But one thing that is good that could, because it's almost another throwback to the original, like, oh, you could take things out of your dream. What happens in your dream is real. So obviously in this, nothing happens to Heather, which I think it's so cool that these people are playing themselves.
Yeah.
But her husband in the movie, he like cut his finger when the knife, when the Freddy hand went astray and got him, and then he's bleeding in the next.
Yeah, scene. But see, what doesn't make sense with that was Heather's dream. Her husband wasn't in that. Like he you don't know if he wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't sleeping in the house. Like he wasn't there. So why is he coming home? So does that mean that whoever she dreams with it's gonna happen to them? Right? Because like usually again they have to be falling asleep to be in that dream together. So they didn't show him at all sleeping.
Unless he said, well, they were probably in the same bed together and they got woken up. But even if he
wasn't
said,
there.
I had this.
When she woke up, he wasn't there.
Oh yeah, where was he then?
I don't know.
Because then everything started breaking.
Yeah.
That's when because he caught a mirror that shattered, or like a picture
right.
shattered. That was what's this guy doing?
That's okay.
Watching the ball game, babe.
So then that's a question. Then I thought, like, if you time falling asleep together, like in the old movies, then you're all in the movie, like like Dream Warriors or whatever. You're all in the dream together. But if you fall asleep next to someone separately, does that count?
That'd be the worst. You meet a girl, you go to her, you go have a great night, you fall asleep, and it just happens to be, Nancy from Elm Street.
Can you imagine that? Like, this is like your first date, and you both fall asleep together, and you wake up in her dream.
What's your name, Nancy? Yeah, this guy Freddy, he haunts me in my dreams. Oh yeah, sure, you're hot. Who cares? But one thing I have to say, Heather in this movie, Heather, like, she's a fox. She's so good. And it sucks because I'm sure she got pigeonholed. She obviously had a great career because she was on what? Just the 10 of Us, or
Oh yeah. One of those movie shows
with Bill Kirchenbacher or whatever his name was.
I tried reaching out to her a few times, by the way.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, for her, she might have been like so pigeon. Oh, you're only a horror actress, but she's a good actress. Like, in this movie, to play herself in this, like, just the way she has to play it, because a lot of the elements were, I don't know how much you read about the movie. A lot of the elements in this movie that they put in are real. Like, she legit had a stalker from those movies that was like really bad. Like, calling her all the time, finding all of her numbers, following her.
Was the gray hair strain part of like the real life too? Because I mean, I know that happened in the first movie, which you got the gray hair. That's the streak. She had that gray hair streak, and they mentioned it. And they mentioned,
so it happened again. So it happened again. So another callback to the original.
Right. Oh, you didn't. Yeah, because they mentioned it in this movie. That I think the one person goes.
Yeah, but it happens later in the movie. They said your hair is turning gray.
Yeah, and that happened in the first movie.
That's another one. Cool. I got to mark that one. I guarantee. I think I counted probably almost 10 callbacks to the original. I'm like, it's so cool they did that. Like, Wes got to write his script that he's wanting to do, and it just worked out for everyone.
No, and and I think you made a good point. Like, I mean, she was obviously new and younger in the first movie, but she was, and it must be hard, right? You have to act as yourself, acting in a movie, that things that obviously are not going to happen in your real life, but you're being yourself. Like, so like, does that make it easier or harder? Because you could say like, all right, well, this is real. Like in my real life, I'm going to act like this, and it's going to be easy to act like this because the fear is going to be there, or is it hard to act like yourself in a movie when things are not going to happen?
Yeah, I would think it's got to be difficult. Even Robert, his character, he played himself as a real shifty, untrustworthy guy, and he was kind of a prick. And that, we'll talk about him. I hated that we didn't get a resolution of his character.
Oh,
I understand they did that to, I guess, make us think, but it really pissed me off because I think it'd been cool if something would happen to him, or if he would have interacted with Freddy. Did you imagine that kind of split screen?
100%. That's something that should have happened. Like, he should have had a dream where he meets Freddy, and like Freddy again, that could have been the comedy part, right? Like there could have been some kind of interaction with Freddy. I love the fact that they have the police officer, her father, back in the movie.
That ending scene. It's so amazing when he's like, "Why do you keep calling me John?"
Yeah, very cool.
No, it's good. So the husband has to get a job. He's working on a Suds commercial, doing special effects for the Suds commercial.
Well, and before that, did the kids start screaming yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this kid has had multiple episodes of screaming, like weirdly, like it's not a normal scream, like he's out of the blue. Why did it take her so long to get the kid help? Like he should have been brought to a doctor. Like literally the first scene. Like when you have your child screaming out of the blue like that, and that's like a death curling scream, and he's not acting normal, and he's repeating things from that are creepy. Like at what point do you say, you know what? I think we got to get him checked out by somebody. And he does this throughout the movie until she finally does it. Like it took way too long.
Yeah, it's bad parenting. Another callback to the original, and she does the same thing that her parents do in the original. So there's so many different things that, God, the fact that how about when the husband leaves on the job, you're telling me he left, walked past, and his son was watching Nightmare on Elm Street, and he let him do it?
Well, listen, you know what? They're definitely bad parenting, and I'll tell you, Nancy is an absolute awful parent, because there's a point where this kid is traumatized, and she keeps leaving him to the babysitter.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're both parents. If my child is going through a rough, I need to be there with my child, right? I'm not going to put it on. She's the one leaving him every single time. Like, he'll be okay. No, he's not okay. Clearly he's not okay.
I really got to do this. I got to go. That girl looks so familiar. I looked her up because I feel like I did this when I watched this a few months ago before I chatted with Howard and Bill.
She was on soap opera, I think.
She was on soap opera. Yeah. And then she was on another think, because I didn't watch. I know you watched one of those.
Yeah. No, I did watch.
But no, there was one that I was like, oh man, and then I looked her up again, and I was like, man, I feel like there was something in so much. Maybe it was just this movie seeing that, because that scene's so horrific. So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he left the house, letting his kid watch Nightmare on Elm Street, and then he's acting weird, and then that's when she's like, then the phone call comes in, the creepy phone call.
Okay. That phone call sounded like Freddy, first of all.
Oh,
when they called in.
Yeah.
So, and the limo driver is such a creepy guy. Was he the only limo driver in town? Because she goes to multiple places. It wasn't just, the studio. It was, she went to two different, she went different. Is it was it like she called a limo and he just happened to be the guy?
I think it was New Line that paid for it. But Bob Shea.
Everywhere she goes, that New Line's paid.
Yeah, because that was the same guy that brought her. It was probably an interview because it was involved with the Nightmare franchise, so maybe they covered it. Because when they call her and said, "Oh yeah, Bob won't just talk to you. We'll send the car," and it's that same creepy guy. But I love when she cursed him out.
Oh,
that was so good. Or the fact that she shut the window while he was talking.
While he was talking, he kept talking. Yeah. I mean, and okay. I mean, I don't know what kind of career Nancy has or had. I mean, we talked about a couple things, but her house is massive.
Ballin'.
So, I mean, either she's I don't know what she did, but maybe her husband, did a lot, or they really made her like she's this huge celebrity. And I mean, to be honest, I really never seen her in anything else. Not that she wasn't in anything else. But yeah, I don't know if she's as big, is she that big? They're going to send a limo to her. She was
I would say in the horror community, she's on the Mount Rushmore
because she was in a major movie. But is she really that? But
she was
big?
good.
Okay, she was good, but that was 6 movies ago. I mean, So is a studio really she's so important that they're gonna send her a limo to go everywhere?
Bob Shea owes everything to her.
Listen, if it was Jamie Lee Curtis,
New Line was shut down.
I get it. I don't even think Robert Englund had a. Did he even leave the house or no?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he did.
Okay.
At the
so
talk
what limo
show,
was taking him? Did they have a limo? He doesn't get a limo, but she had the limo.
Robert, you got to drive yourself.
Okay.
But one thing that I thought about, remember when her husband left and he's like, "You're gonna be fine," and she's like, "Yeah, fine, just go." And that's when the phone call comes in, and then she runs outside to scream, and he's gone. And just think about that is something that doesn't happen now because we have cell phones. But that was a thing back in the day. I'm gonna go out, and it's I can't talk to that person until they call me or they get to the place that I know they're going to be at. That's crazy to think about. Kids, with my kids, I can't even fathom that as a thing.
Well, how about the fact that they just had another earthquake? So they had an earthquake when the husband was home. Then there was another one when he left. And she's going to leave the kid. This is 2 earthquakes in a row. You don't know what kind of danger. The third one might blow up the whole house. And you're going to leave the kid right there. I would never leave my kid. And now this limo driver was assigned, was paid for by the Universal or whatever, Cinemax or what was it?
New Line. It seems like a guy that Bob Shea would hang out with.
Okay, right. But he's going to be that antsy. He's going to call twice. He calls her twice. Yeah. That first of all, I'm assuming again, if
I think that's why, because he's going to be late. Because remember when they got there and they pulled her out of the car?
I get it, but at the same time, this is a celebrity at this point. She's a big celebrity. You're gonna put pressure on her. You got to get out. Who are you? You're the limo driver. I mean, really. I mean, it'd be one thing she got a call from the studio, say, "Hey, you got to get moving." But this is the limo driver kind of having an attitude, you got to get going. Yeah.
Oh my God. And he's just so cocky the way he even opens the door and he's like, "Hey, you're that girl from that movie." And I just love that. Oh yeah, the sequels. And he's going into all the sequels and he's like, "Oh yeah, that one's pretty good."
And even later on, when he opened the door, he does a hop and a skip when he's opening the door. He's such a weirdo. It was such a weird character that I thought there'd be more to it. And it really wasn't after that. After the second one, it was
he's gone. Talking about weird, the talk show I don't know what was weirder, like the interview guy, the way his back was faced to the audience and his face was in her face, like, and that, or the people in the crowd dressed like Freddy. Everyone was dressed like Freddy,
and they
pretty
were all young kids. Like, this is a horror movie, and back then it was obviously, probably it was more, I guess, looked down upon for kids to see horror movies back in the day, right? Today it's a little different. So why was the audience mostly kids, with some parents sprinkled in there? Like, it literally was mostly kids.
I think that was the West's joke of the whole thing. Because they did a talk show. This is a real life thing too. They did a talk show about horror movies. Like, would you let your kid watch horror movies? And I don't know who did it. I don't know if it was like a Phil Donahue or Sally Jesse Raphael, but it was like a whole thing. So they added that element to this. But you're right. And then how about the end of the movie when the doctor is like, "Have your son seen any of your movies?"
Oh yeah.
And then she blurts out Freddy, and then she's like, "Yo, so he has seen your movies." Everybody knows who Freddy is. He's like Santa Claus or King Kong.
First of all, that doctor was also creepy.
She was very.
She looked like she's into witchcraft, like voodoo. Like the way she she came across. First of all, she was about 6'2", like because she was like standing next to everybody. She was a big woman, tall woman, and like she seemed so like creepy. I was like, there's got to be something with her. Like, I'm waiting. Like, I don't remember this movie, and I'm just thinking, like, all right, there's going to be constant, like something. But that didn't pan out either because she
was she creepy, or was it just Heather's dreams of how she interpreted it? Then once she gets to the hospital, like, all bets are off because there's so much stuff that you don't know that's real. Like, oh, what did I see up to this point that was actually real? Like when they woke her up, when she like jumped onto it. We'll get into it later, but there's so many elements.
This movie, I feel like, could have been again, it's a movie within a movie within a dream and within a dream. Like, it feels like it literally could have been a dream. The whole movie could have been a dream, and that, like, because even how it ends, like, what did all this really happen? Like, because she's reading the story to the kid later on. Like, it's like, like, so, like,
she's reading the script to the kid at the end.
Right.
And I'm like,
did it really, did any of that happen?
The script has no blood on it or anything.
So did anything happen? Or was that just now the beginning where she got the script and now she's going to make the movie?
God,
like, so that? Like, that's what I think.
But she was damaged. If she wasn't all like burnt, then I would say, like, wow, dude, that's like, they're just reading the script the whole movie.
Then why would you really read the script then?
I know.
Like, at that point, like, why would you even do it? Like, knowing that if it really happened, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near the role anymore. And she this is a role that she's an actress, obviously, in this movie, and she's a big actress that she made the two. She was in the second one too, right? Or no?
She's in the third one.
Okay, third one. Okay, so like she clearly, but she really, even before things really started happening, she already seemed creeped out and of Freddy from the beginning of the movie before things started happening. Yeah. So like, I'm not sure like she should be even thinking about making another movie because clearly making just those two movies made her a little jittery, Yeah. So, yeah.
I think the negative attention, like obviously the real life crank phone calls, but when the guy is grilling her in the interview and he's like, "So about your movies," and he goes, "Would you trust Robert alone with your kid?" And I'm like, what a weird question. That is weird. And she's like, "Robert? Oh, yeah, he's great. I know Robert so well." And then it's like, "Well, here he is." He comes out dressed as Freddy. Like, and that's one thing I do love about this movie, because I know Freddy vs. Jason came out after this, but this was cool to see him. Obviously, he played like a different version of Freddy, like at the end of the movie and then throughout other parts. But here, he's like the Freddy we know and love from, parts 3, 4, 5 and on, when it's like really silly.
And as I'm watching this, and just watching the way he walks, as Freddy, like, really, I don't think anyone could have done the role of Freddy. Like, and you take the makeup off, and like, if they just filmed from his neck down, and just the way he stands and moves, like, he does such an incredible job as Freddy. Like, it really is cool to watch. But yeah, that was very cool to see him come out like that.
Yeah, there one time Bob Shea got real cheap and he didn't want to pay, Robert for the first sequel, part 2. And the first scene they shot was like the shower death scene, like when they kill the coach. And if you rewatch that, the guy walks like a friggin' Frankenstein. He's very
so you can
stiff,
you can see a
no
difference.
charisma, doesn't have like that kind of like a little turn to it. It's it's weird. With to me, Jason doesn't matter. Like I think I like each element that's brought to it, but since you actually see Robert and he talks, it definitely is like so much.
Well, you know what it is? Jason just walks like Jason walks like Frankenstein, right? He's very stiff, and when he moves, Freddy's is like a human. As much as a monster that he is, he's got a lot of human qualities to him. So, the way he moves around, he moves around like an athlete. Like he's always crouched. He's always like moving around, jumping around. Like he's like, so it's, to have him like, if I got to watch it now, to see a stiff Freddy just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. So then Freddy comes out, and one thing I would love to make a poster of this movie with his quote, because he said, "Just when you thought it was safe to go back to your bed," the Jaws tagline. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. He was just so cool in that scene. And then quickly, it sinks that I'm sure after on some like Blu-ray edition or something like special edition, they had like more of that scene, but it's over right there. It's over as soon as you see Heather kind of like freaked out, and then they're to a dressing room, and he has everything off, and he's like super cool, signing autographs. Nobody wants her autograph. Everybody wants Roberts. That was pretty funny.
And to me, that makes it seem like she's in a dream. Like she's like, now in panic mode, and people are just ignoring her kind of thing. Like, because if she's this big actress, why wouldn't they want her autograph?
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh my God. And one thing, I love having Wes in it. I love having Robert and Heather.
Yeah.
But the fact that the New Line people are in this movie, like I've seen them so many times because I've watched Never Sleep Again, the documentary. If you love,
so it's the real people.
Horror,
like is it the real people?
The lady that calls him is the producer of all the movies.
Awesome.
And
that's awesome.
Bob Shea, Lynn Shea's sister, who is an actress. She has a very small part in this movie and most of his movies. She plays a nurse later in the movie. But yeah, she's like, Heather, can you please come down to the come on, we'll send the car. It won't be. Bob wants to talk to you about a new idea he has. And then, dude, Bob Shea, I really have to find this clip and add it in. Because we're recording, a few days before this is coming out. It might be hard, but his line when he's on the phone with the guy and he's like doing I'm finishing my call down there, and he's like, and don't forget risotto to Carucci or something. Okay, ciao.
Well, how about the fact that when Heather's there, the front desk lady is like, is he expecting you? Like, she's a big, first of all, they would have told her when Heather gets up here, like she would have known, but like she actually, like, she doesn't even know who she is. 100%. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because prior to this, New Line was known for Bob Shea had like no money, and he bought the rights of Reefer Madness because they lapsed, and he bought it and was like doing it with like re-releasing the VHS. That's how he made money in the beginning. Wow. And then this the movie that changed everything. So just thinking about how many movies we watch that's like New Line Cinemas, they might have definitely got made. Home Alone, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So many would have gotten made, I'm sure, but like so many were made under the shield.
And you think about like this horror movie, like the original, every other horror movie before this was a very Friday the 13th, Halloween-ish kind of thing where there's a slasher movie, right?
And nobody spoke. This was the killers. No one spoke. Speak.
Correct. This was such a huge. Yeah, but this was before Chucky, right? I mean, so.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
So like for this horror like type, changed horror also, right? Because it made it where, okay, it doesn't always have to be serious, and it doesn't always have to be just a slasher. And this, this change, I think this obviously, like you said, it set up a lot of the future movies and everything else, but this was a huge change. And I wonder if at the time they were like, this is a big gamble. Like, are people going to like this because it's not your typical slasher type movie? I wonder if they were worried that it wasn't going to be a big hit.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe they just thought like, hey, you know what? Maybe everybody was doing the ripoff and it worked. And they were like, we can make X amount of dollars ripping off Friday the 13th and making the Mangler kind of movie. But how about we just try to do, and the fact that it's like cool again, because these are based on Wes Craven used to have these dreams, and there was this creepy guy in the neighborhood that stared into his window when he was a kid. Ugh. And he looked like the way he imagined that he made Freddy to be. And then I think a kid picked on him and his last name was Krueger. I don't think his full name was Fred Krueger, but that's what's cool when Bob's like, yeah, he's gonna do a sequel, and Wes only writes good when he's having nightmares, and he's having those nightmares again. And then Bob slips and he says, yeah, and this is crazy, like he didn't even start writing the movie, and we're trying to make a new prototype of the glove. They're acting like this movie is like 20 years after the original. Freddy's Dead came out in 92? 91.
So Freddy's Dead was before this, right before this.
Yeah, Freddy's Dead. Yeah, because that was like.
So they weren't planning on making another one after Freddy's Dead. Like, was that?
Oh, because I don't think Freddy's Dead. Obviously, it wasn't like it was like critically panned and didn't have success that way. I don't think it did good enough box office. Even though it's like every time we cover those horror sequels, it's like you're always going to get the people that love the movies. So I think no matter what, you'll make a profit. Like even if they made a Friday the 13th like next week and it came out, like it could be the shittiest thing ever. People are going to go. But even some of the ones that we like, Jason Takes Manhattan, is it the greatest one? Yes, in my eyes. But that movie, even that made like $3 million, and it took a few years to make Jason Goes to Hell because obviously that was like some studio thing. But it's like, how much is enough? Like for you and I making $2 million, that'd be great. Right. But I think sometimes studios are like, $2 million. Why don't we try this other thing? We can make 5 or 6.
Well, you think about it, like with all these, movies that are like Beverly Hills Cop and Coming to America, these movies that stopped being made like years ago, and now they're not rebooting it, but like bringing it back. Mm-hmm. Imagine, they did a Nightmare on Elm Street. Like you see a trailer with Freddy, like it would crush. And again, like you said, even if it wasn't a good, great movie, people are going to go see it, right? Because, they haven't seen Freddy in a long time, and, it's such a cult following, and, so, I mean, I'm surprised they haven't even thought about, trying to do another one just because
Robert doesn't want to do it, and Robert doesn't want to do it. Yeah, I think he hung up the glove, I think.
The glove?
I think he said that officially, because he's got to be in his mid-70s, right?
He can still crush it.
I'm sure.
He was on some show or something that I saw recently.
Oh, he was just in Stranger Things 2 years ago.
Yes, that's right. So he definitely could do it. I mean, listen, if Michael Keaton could do Beetlejuice, he could definitely do. And you never say never. Like, listen, they throw him some money, to do one final act. I think he would consider it.
No,
Wes, you listening?
Or he looks back, even though he did Freddy vs. Jason, because I think that was like a dream thing for the fans, and maybe for something that for him. But this is a good way to really go out, like when it comes to this original story, because it just is so unique. But the fact that Bob is like, hey, he's been working on this prototype for the glove, your husband, for the last few months, and it's like, then it like makes her think like, oh shit, I just had this dream about everything that was just happening. So
it seemed like she was dreaming of the future in a lot of this movie, because there were a lot of things that didn't happen yet that she was having these dreams, and then all of a sudden she recognized or whatever, or like, again, the husband because then they find out these 2 guys died.
Well,
right?
No, did we find out? They just didn't show up to work. I don't think they died.
No, I thought they were
because the glove was with him. The glove was with him on that set.
Wasn't there like a news on the TV or something? But these 2 guys that I could have sworn there was something. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I thought I saw something that said these 2 guys are missing or gone or died or something that was kind of like because it made her think back to the dream. Unless I'm making it up, but it sounds like
no, I don't think you are.
No, I'm almost positive something like that.
No,
happened.
I'm not saying you're making it up. But no, because she did say something. And I thought he said, "Who cares about those morons?"
No. I'm almost positive. Maybe when she was at the hospital, the news came on, and it was something about these 2 guys that are missing, and it made her think about the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they count it as a death.
Oh, okay. See, so I think that's so. So either she saw the future, or she saw she saw the past, like in her dreams.
Yeah. Oh no, she probably did see the future. They probably weren't dead yet.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So like, there was something else that she saw that she recognized before it happened. Like, so like that kind of wasn't addressed really either. That she was somehow dreaming about the future.
She could see the future. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
But
you're right. So now you just opened up a whole can of worms, because now you're telling me that this glove that somehow can run across the parking lot without anybody seeing it killed two men and then went back on, cleaned itself, and then went back onto the stand that nobody.
I mean, if we're gonna believe the glove can act on its own, why can't it clean itself?
Could you imagine that scene? Like, it's just the glove jumping, hitting the sink, and like under the water coming out.
I mean, think about things that are possessed, right? If something's possessed and it's able to do one thing, why can't it do another?
That's true.
So
it's some I get, yeah, but I think that was so silly I even rewinded like 5 different times to rewatch the glove disappear. Like, because in my head, I'm like, it must have ran across the street. Like, really, because he's not dreaming yet. And we see this glove in normal time, right? In a normal space, everyone's awake. There's no like trickery. And we see this thing there. And then when they cut to him pulling out, the glove's gone.
But, and again, the glove, wasn't it robotic? Like, it wasn't a glove. Wasn't it a hand? It was like it was
a hand. Yeah. Hand, it was robotic.
Hand. It was a Terminator hand.
And it somehow hit under the seat of the car and waited for him to start singing REM. Was that like the Pee-wee word of the day? Once he starts singing, that's me in the corner. Let me scratch him in the, but then again, he scratches him in the crotch. Then it turns into sleeping, right? Because there's the cuts of you see the cuts in the seat. And then when he looks at his crotch, there's no cuts. So I don't know.
But that was a little creepy because they zoomed in on his crotch. And you had this Jaws moment with the claw, which you see a few times in this movie. There's definitely a few Jaws moments.
Yeah, they do the homage to the original in the bathtub. Yeah, they do that. Like,
and in the bed, wasn't there like a thing in the bed also with the sheets
in the bed? Yeah.
Okay.
So many. But how about when she gets home? I wrote down jokingly, I love my children, but I wrote down jokingly, like, can you return kids? Because she just gets home and that kid's screaming so loud that when she opens the limo, when that guy does his hop and skip to open the door for her, she hears the screaming. She runs in and he's just going ape shit.
But don't you also, like, as a parent, wouldn't you also say, like, what is my babysitter doing?
Yeah, what is my babysitter doing? That Rex is the one that saved her. It saved him, yeah.
No, but I mean, like, but still, like, whether she's a trusted babysitter or not, my kid is screaming and the babysitter's holding the kid down because she was holding him down. Like, you don't know what's going on. Like, my first thing would be like, get your hands off my child. Like, what are you doing? Like, and it wasn't. She literally went right to the kid. Like, she as if that was something normal. And again, the next or whatever, right after that, nothing. Like, they don't get the kid help. This is like this third time that he's been screaming like so loud. How do you not get him help? Like,
Heather's like, who cares? She's like, whatever.
Well, she definitely lacks a lot of emotion because when the husband does die, like it was like okay, like really, like she moved on so fast from that. So
yeah, well, she'd have a tormenting nightmare. That was pretty wild.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So this one, Rex, the first time Rex saved him, and there's like the perfect Freddy slashes. Julie's going to put it together. And so I wrote down this note. Freddy has defeated countless number of people throughout all of the films, but he can't defeat a stuffed dinosaur.
Well, he injures it.
He did, but he didn't kill someone. It's very rare. Like, it's usually only the final girls that Freddy can't kill, and then he has to retreat until another time, which is always funny. He can never beat them. There's something obviously special about them, like the Alice Johnsons of the world. And
well, did we ever find out why he's after the kid?
Did we ever find out?
Yeah.
No.
Like, why is he trying to kill the kid?
I don't know. Wes is
Why did he not try to kill Nancy? Like,
yeah. So if Wes didn't type those words, that wouldn't have happened. Like, is that a dream that the the auto dialer looking computer with the MS DOS green letters? Like, are you telling me, like, was that real? That while they were talking, the conversation was already on there, or is she dreaming that? I don't know.
Or is Wes connected to Freddy?
Yeah.
Like, wasn't there a movie? Was it with Will Ferrell when they're writing a book, but like everything was happening
Stranger Than Fiction,
something like that. Yeah. So like maybe Wes was connected. You know, I mean, it would make sense. He made all these movies, and somehow he's connected. Like that would be a little good twist that he's kind of the mastermind behind this whole thing. Like to make him like a bad guy. Like like what he was writing was happening, and this is what he wanted. You know,
he's evil. He's like it's like an evil version of that John Candy movie. When everything he types comes
soap
real.
dish? Was it soap? No.
Was it
the soap opera one?
Was the John? It wasn't Who's Harry Crumb, right? John Candy.
No. But wasn't soap dish
movie?
Was it a soap opera? Oh, Delirious.
Delirious, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, everything he writes, but now everything Wes writes is like something terrifying for somewhere else. So, they
don't explain why they're going after the kid. That was like because he wasn't going after Nancy at all. She was just in the way. He just kept trying to go after the kid.
Yeah, well, maybe that was kind of an underlying thing. They didn't want to say it. Maybe because that's the whole thing about the original movie is like it's really weird about Freddy. He was like a kid toucher.
Correct.
And then the parents in the town burned him. And they always like kind of, hey, let's not talk about that anymore. I think that's when why the new one sucked. I don't know if you saw the new one. I only watched like half of it.
And Jackie Kersey, whatever the guy that played.
Okay. Yeah, Kelly Leach is haunting your nightmares. But in the one scene, the girl who is like the Nancy of the movie, maybe her name is Nancy. I forget if they actually just use the same character names. But she goes into like his boiler room. Or the incinerator and finds like a bag or an envelope and it has like a bunch of kid photos in it. They don't show anything, but she's looking through like Polaroids. And it's like, okay, maybe that like people love the original and don't, I do too, but I don't know. It's like Death Wish. I don't want to watch like the, those really graphic scenes sometimes. Just give me the silly third, fourth and on.
Well, not to mention, and I totally forgot about that, that part of it, of the movie, which made Freddy, which is good because, in a way, Freddy's like a hero to people, right? He's like, everybody loves Freddy. Like he's the bad guy that you
$4 a minute to talk to.
But he's the bad guy that you kind of like either root for or just like you can't wait to see. So if you remembered why he what made him bad or what was why he was burnt to begin with, that would be kind of icky that you're rooting for someone like that, so I think it's good that people forgot why he what made people kill him in the first place. So okay,
because that's why maybe he was going after the kid. I don't know if it was as simple as that or if it's just like, hey, Wes wrote the script, he wanted Nancy to do one last movie and this is what we want. But so how about so they get the news from the cops, they go to the coroner, and what's happening? What is the coroner doing, Jamie?
Okay. Well, eating. Okay. Okay. First of all, before you even get there, so when the cops get there, obviously when they show up your house late at night, it's never good news. But like they wrote down, she goes, "Is he hurt?" is what she said. They said it's worse than that. Then she says, "Is he dead?" What's worse than is he hurt? Like, is it really in between death and is he hurt? What else could it possibly be except for being dead? It's like the cop pulls out like the doctor pain chart. Look at the pain chart. What are you from happy? It's like he's hurt. It's hurt. Really hurt. Really, really hurt. Like, holy cow, he may not make it to death. Yeah. So call your local funeral home. That's the last option. But no, I know. It's so silly. And then so we're at the morgue, and yes, and funny. I told my daughter this again. I said every movie Like it takes a special person to have to work in a morgue, and they always portray them as weird people.
Eating,
like it's like
loving to eat food.
They literally would let anyone just walk right. First of all, wouldn't she be escorted there, like by the police?
I know.
So she's just going to go on her own. Once again, leaving a kid that just was screaming 2 minutes ago. Like you're leaving a kid again. She leaves this kid throughout the whole movie, but she goes to the morgue. She just literally just walks down there before she's greeted by the mortician.
Yeah.
And then then she's wandering around everywhere and she's looking, I don't know. I feel like she would have been escorted down there. I don't think
I would hope for the safety of the hospital and the other people, all the other bodies. Like, what if she was just she wanted to take bodies or be like something weird? Yeah.
She freaks out. What if she freaks out for seeing her husband down there? Then, yeah. Okay.
The guy, the actor, it's so funny. I just followed him on Threads, and I knew his face and I knew his name, but then I'm like, no way, this is Warren from There's Something About Mary. Have you seen My Baseball? That was the friggin' corner.
Was it really? Oh my gosh.
He has other credits, but that is like the one that like everybody would know.
That's amazing. Okay, that's.
But yeah,
I got to see what it looks like again now.
The fact that she sees the slashes, like, oh, can I see it again? And he's like, really? Opens it up, and they're like, and he's like, well, they said it was a really bad car wreck, and it's like, I don't know, a bad car would be like perfectly four. I've seen these 4 lines before, sir. I've seen them many times. Have you seen my movie? That's what I would say too. You've seen Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Oh yeah, I have. Is this weird? Like, that's the same thing that Freddy used to do in the movie.
Yeah. Ugh.
She never asked. Gross. She never asked like the random fan, like Julie, the babysitter, probably saw the movie. Be like, do you see any of the same elements happening from the movie you saw? It'd be like, yeah, there's a lot.
The kid is quoting the movie left and right. And singing the song, and I'm surprised that they didn't have 2 young girls on a tricycle, wearing white, So,
God. The funeral seems so cool because I think this is the first time that we see like the Freddy as like this entity, whatever we're gonna call him. But God, he looks so cool, dude. When the earthquake happens and the coffin like goes into, and you see like
that was the 7th earthquake.
The 7th earthquake that happened in the
3 weeks. 7th earthquake in 3 weeks.
That's insane. Like usually it's like an earthquake and then there's like always aftershocks. Like even in Jersey. Right. Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is like aftershocks are less than. It seems like all of these are the same intensity.
Okay. So how many earthquakes would it take you to say, well, you know what? Let's get out for a while. Like to me, if 2. You don't expect 2, right? If you get a 3rd one, done. Like, it should go.
Where am I going? I don't have a house in the country.
You don't have any friends or family outside of your state?
I do, but
okay. So
I'll risk it. I don't want to stay with family.
So in your mind, you'd rather go through an earthquake than go.
I got a basement. I know basement isn't good for. I guess it is, right?
Is it? Like, I don't
know.
See, I don't understand that because they always say like, go underground, but like everything crashed to the top of you. Like, wouldn't it be like, I feel like the safest area would be the closest to the top. So this way you ride it down, it falls. And you have less things.
It falls like a house of cards. Like what?
Like Bugs Bunny, when his car goes off the cliff, he like steps out right before it hits the ground, and you're okay.
Perfect. Oh man, but that first time we see Freddy in the casket and he pulls down Dylan. Oh my God, just dude, her face, seeing him and just seeing like that almost gray tone on top of the pink. Like the red, it looks frightening, and it's cool that they did that. It made him look different. And in this movie, they almost had that first scene to remind people, "Hey, this is what Freddy looks like."
Right.
Like,
well, the rest of the movie though, he looks not like animatronic, but he doesn't like his face looks more stiff. Like because again, everything looks clearer, clean, like more sharp. It looks more like a monster than like the old Freddy looks like a human. The way they had it was like a very different type of look, And I love the special effects of like going into the the casket, going into the bed, into the sheets. Like those two like visuals were so cool. You know how they did that.
Yeah, and there's some cool setups, like even in his bed in the earlier scene, where she's like, "This is the end of the bed," and she's like, "Look, it ends."
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you crawl out. Like that's such a cool thing.
I was waiting for something when she was like when they both were looking at the end of the bed. Like I was waiting, but now now that you say that, now it makes sense what happens later on in the movie. Like he's been going in and out of the tunnel this whole time. The kid.
Yeah. That's his entry right to the world.
Okay, so he's been hanging around the hellhole, whatever that was, at Freddy's house, like this entire movie. That would screw up anybody.
You imagine if that's how Freddy gets everywhere in this movie? So like he has to go through there and then get a cab to the hospital or get a cab to the funeral or hitchhike.
Well, maybe he's like the janitor in The Principal or whatever, the substitute. Like he has all these little tunnels, and he that's how he gets to everybody's bed. He goes through the sheets, and he has like different tunnels,
kind of like Little Monsters with Howie Mandel.
See, now that's the crossover. I think what
the world needs.
We should have had. Like as Freddy's going up one of the sides, you see the janitor coming down, or something like where the janitor comes to the wrong side, or Howie Mandel.
That would be good. Hey man, this is my kid. Over. Okay, Mr. Mandel. Remember how goofy he looked in that movie? He looked like a blue.
Oh, yeah.
He
had horns too. Did he have horns or?
God, I gotta watch that. I gotta get Emerson to watch that. I was trying to think of these random 80s movies. That's one that I think is pretty tame. Hopefully, I'll have to rewatch it. I feel like
who's that?
I feel like
Fred Savage?
I feel like there's a weird transformation or something with him. Like I feel like his friends are like trying to kill the monsters or something.
I always get that movie mixed up with the one with Phoebe Cates, Drop Dead Fred.
How would you get them mixed up? One's a British guy with red hair and a green suit, and the other one's a horned monster.
I just remember, well, they're both like, is Little Monsters, is it imaginary or is he really a monster?
No, they're real. The monsters under your bed.
Oh, I don't remember the movie at all then.
Yeah.
All right, they got to see it. Okay.
But that'd be good for Freddy because in that world, every like when they were walking like the alleyway, it was like each stairs going up, it was like Monsters Inc. Like the doors they had monsters. In this one, it was like you would see the under the bed where they're gonna climb up.
Yeah.
So it definitely was like super creepy. So then now Heather, they're back home after the funeral. She can't sleep. She wakes up. Dylan's watching Nightmare again. And what's again the bad parenting? Mommy, I don't want to sleep there, as in his room, and she goes, but Dylan, you have to sleep. And she kind of knows what's going on. And then I love when we see the TV that she unplugged earlier in the movie, and that first time we watch it, they show that unplugged, and it's like she's sleeping. Like, what is that?
It had a lot of like Poltergeist kind of vibes also to it.
Yes.
This movie. But here's the question, and maybe again about the rules of Freddy. So she saw the casket tunnels because she fell and hit her head right on the casket, but she wasn't sleeping. She was knocked out. Does that count as sleeping?
Yeah, I think so. Unconscious. Yeah.
Like, okay, but unconscious doesn't mean you're sleeping.
But your mind's in a state of not doing anything because you don't always dream when you're sleeping.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. All right. I was just curious about that rule.
If there's any sleep experts at Sequels Only, at Ricardi17 on Twitter, let us know. Are you team?
Is being unconscious considered sleeping?
I would hope so, because then that'd be another hole in this whole movie.
Well, that's what I want to know.
Most of it, she's passing out a lot.
Okay,
and being unconscious. Yeah.
Okay.
So now we get to greet John Saxon in the movie for the first time. I love in this world that they all are buddies like that. John, he's such an amazing actor. It's so much but legendary horror movies. Even though I think he almost notoriously, not saying he didn't like horror movies, but it wasn't his favorite thing, that he was known for like Black Christmas and Nightmare on Elm Street. Like those are like his two biggie.
Well, I believe that because when you hear him talk as himself, he's got a very calm, demeanor, very soft, so he doesn't seem like Robert Englund seems like a kind of a nut off off
Yeah,
camera.
yeah, yeah.
Like he seems like a weird guy to begin with, but he definitely seems like he's just like a regular, like, so I could see that, it's not really for him. He seems like a regular dad.
Yeah, well, in the end of the movie, he turns back into it.
He does.
But so how about this playground? Like, I was like, wow, that's really cool. It's like a rocket ship. Like, in what world would there be any design that window can open for a kid to climb out?
Not only that, what design would have something because they made it look like it was so high that this kid is climbing. Like, I've never seen every playground I've ever seen or been to, you could jump off the highest thing and land in the wood chips and it'd be fine. This thing was like 3 stories high.
Yeah.
Like it was ridiculous. Like, yeah. So I don't know, like, was it really like made that way, or was it looked that way because it was a dream? Was the kid dreaming, or like, yeah.
Yeah. The fact that she caught him and he was reaching for the sky, which was really weird. Like, what was he reaching for? Like, Freddy's not up there.
His father just died. He said something because she said something like, we'll see him, or I thought. So I think this happened right after the funeral. So I think he was talking about going there. But is he in a trance? Like at this point, like
he seems like it.
Why is he? Because he seems normal when he's not sleeping or anything else or whatever. And then
sometimes he's normal, yeah.
Or sometimes, and then he has a split. It's almost like he has a split personality, and then all of a sudden it clicks, and so like, is he in a trance? Like, because I didn't understand why he was doing that. Like,
yeah, I don't know. And he was making a weird face, like even before, even when he got up there, and the way he got to the top, they made it obviously like, hey, it wasn't easy to get to that like window that opened, but it shouldn't have obviously been able to open.
Oh.
But he like kind of had this weird, like he was like kind of like walking around, and it was like a corkscrew because he was going higher and higher, and then he opened it. But yeah, he was making a weird face, and the fact that she saw him and just got there in time, I'm like, man, there'd be like some kind of injury, like one of them would be hurt, him or her.
She dove and caught him, I think. Like, it was like ridiculous. And you're right. And the kid, I mean, it was like a circular roof that you see like in like other country houses. Like, there's no way the kid's gonna be able to stand on that thing without falling off. He was like 30. But he was in a sort of a trance when he was at the hospital, right? Because at that point he kept repeating the Freddy stuff and the creepy stuff. So like, is he like, I wonder, like, when did the transition happen when he started to not be the kid anymore and be this creepy,
whole movie to us
thing?
the
movie was on and off though, but there was a point in this movie where it was full time. Like he full time was when she literally brought him to the hospital. That's when he was full time, and smart enough to take the pill out and hide it under the
take enough out. Like his mom. So another callback to the original. But to have enough to set up breadcrumbs, like it's incredible.
Is that a trope? I mean, that's a trope in movies that you always see at a mental hospital or something, that people take it out of the mouth and like they pretend they swallow it and they hide it under the bed, or like, do you think people really did that? Like, do that now? Like, what are you like why under the bed? Like, it would get crushed under there. It could fall out. Like, what do you put in your pocket or something? Or like, I don't know. Like,
well, they usually don't give people pockets that are in mental hospitals. But
why? You can hurt yourself with a pocket.
We can hide stuff in there. They don't want to have to probably check people. So probably give you no pockets.
I would think the fact that there are things in there that they can use to hide is more dangerous than having actual pockets. Like, so they really, if they're having access to things that they could hurt themselves, pockets don't make a difference. They have access to the stuff. So, I mean, pockets really should, they should have pockets. At least, where do you put your hands?
I don't know. If you've been in a mental institution, let us know. At Sequels Only, were you allowed pockets? That'd be a great question. But yeah, the fact that, not even that, it wasn't an empty playground. So no other parent was like, hey, who's that weird kid up there?
No one seemed concerned.
No one at all.
That's...
They're like, hey, I want to tell a celebrity mom how to raise her kids. I don't know, on the National Enquirer, like getting into a fight with Heather Langenkamp at local park. But so here's the scene of the movie that what do you have to say? Something about that?
Well, is this when she speaks to Robert?
Yes. Okay.
And he's wearing an apron?
Yes, he's wearing apron painting.
Okay. Yeah. What was he painting? Like, it was such a bizarre painting, and he didn't know he was painting it?
Well, that was the only callback to another sequel. I'm sure there's other things, but that was Dream Master with the stomach. Yeah.
But he's not dreaming. He's not like this is all new to him of what she was saying to him.
Oh, right? Like, he was lying. No, he's having the dreams.
Oh, he is.
He's having the nightmares too. Oh, no, he didn't. But because she asked him that question, and the way his response and the facial expression made it seem like obviously he knew something. And what was even weirder when she was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to come over." He's like, "Oh yeah, we're busy. I can't. We're going away." And then how creepy was the voicemail later in the movie?
Yeah,
we're away and we're gonna be gone a while. And it's like, God, they should have showed like him dying, going one-on-one with Freddy, or something like that, to make him seem like, again, it's not like. It'd be weird, like if this movie was like a Scream-esque more, and it was a different character, and like, what if like there was a fan dressing like Freddy to kill the final girl, and then sets up Robert as the killer because he played the character in the movie, but it was just weird that he was like acting so shift.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I didn't put that together, and I must have missed it. Maybe I was writing notes.
No, but you didn't think he was acting weird? That he was like,
he was acting weird, but I just didn't like. I guess I didn't put it together. But then the fact that he didn't recognize what he was painting, like that, I found weird. It doesn't get addressed after that
at all. No, he's gone for the rest of the movie except the voicemail.
Yeah.
We hear
such a weird. That's it. But that was such a there was like you said, I agree. There should have been a little bit more of like, why was he painting that? Where like what's been going on with him? Like there should have been something. Or you know what? Maybe he hears Freddy's voice, in his mind, like a Dexter kind of thing. And you're like, so like everything that like Freddy keeps telling him what to do, and he's doing it, but not realizing, it's Freddy talking to him, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know, but it would have been great to see. I know we mentioned earlier, but I would have loved to have seen a Robert versus Robert scene.
Yeah,
like even a quick death or something. It'd been really cool.
I
it'd really been like, obviously this movie's meta, but it would have been like the meta of all meta.
And even if it wasn't a kill, just some interaction, like some conversation, like something, a face-to-face conversation, something. Well, well, which brings us to the next scene, which has the phone call, which was a throwback also. The tongue in the phone.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
That was in like one of the first few movies, right? I forget which might have been the first one. So yeah,
that was the first one. Yeah, I'm your girlfriend now, Nancy, or I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. Yeah. Okay. No, we get everything. Like, there's like a ton of homage right after this. But how about Robert when he says the line about Wes? He's far into the script. He's as far as Dylan reaching the sky, whatever that means, and it's like weird. Like, even at that point, it's a weird line.
Is Dylan her son?
Yeah, Dylan's her son.
Oh, so how did he know about that?
He didn't know about that. Wes told him that's how far into the script he is. So again, remember, we know Wes is writing this movie.
That's what I'm saying. So this is why it's like, this is a dream the whole time.
Yeah.
Like because like, it's so weird. Like, again, now before I said, really doesn't matter, but now these questions like I'm gonna have to do research online now and find out, because it's
still amazing. Like, it's an amazing movie. It's really well done.
Away from what it.
I know. I know what you mean.
Yeah. I just want to know, like, was the whole thing a dream? And I bet you that could be possible as an answer, because it would make sense except for the injury. So yeah.
So just before the phone call and the phone's foaming and the tongue, we get the homage to that scene in her bed. Like and then when she gets up, the sheets cut in half, and you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then Dylan, she goes downstairs, and what wakes her up was the finger knife. She hears like the kitchen drawer.
I mean,
the fact that her kid Could you imagine that? Like, I know that was the last straw, but she should have been into that at that point already. But
100%. But yeah, obviously that's what. But like, it looked so creepy, and he is attacking her. Like, I mean, like, yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, like, listen, like I said, she looked good in this movie, but she was wearing like grandma nightgown. Like who wears that? Like that was like awful. It was a grandma nightgown.
Yeah, like what are they called? It's like an old it's not a rompers are like cool now, but
no, romper is like a one piece.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what those nightgown. A frock.
I didn't even know they had a name. They have flowers, and it's like cotton, and it's like a long, like, it's awful. Okay.
So now she finally brings Dylan to the hospital. And at this point, again, is she being a better parent? Yeah. Is she being a great parent? No, because the doctor's asking like all these questions, not saying anything at all. Like not saying like, oh yeah, I found him with finger knives.
Why bother bringing him if you're not going to be truthful to the doctor?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And this is where Lynn Shay, sister of Bob Shay, she's in Kingpin. There's something about Mary. So many different things over the years. And she has a quick line as like the doctor for Dylan or the nurse to Dylan. But man, just bad parenting by her. Like for the rest of the movie, she has so many opportunities. There's like 3 different times she's at the hospital. Each time the doctor asks a question and she has an opportunity to be like, all right, this is what's going on. Nothing.
Okay.
Ever.
And let me ask you this. You bring your child to the doctor. Clearly he's having episodes and whatever's going on. And, like after a quick evaluation, they're like, all right, we're going to hold him here. You can go home. Do you go home? Like I'm waiting around a little bit, until I get a little bit more information of like, okay, what's going on? What kind of test you're doing? And even when, I'll wait there hours. I don't, I'll stay there all night, until I'm not going to feel comfortable within the first 20 minutes of dropping him off. They say, yeah, he needs to stay. Like, okay. And she leaves him again. Like she leaves this kid left and right.
She leaves quick because that's when he hides those sleeping pills under his pillow, and she's driving to that's when she goes to Wes's house. So like within seconds.
And how did the kid know they were sleeping pills?
That's true, right? It could have been candy.
He literally like immediately realized that I should not be swallowing this, and to pretend like, put it inside of my cheek and pretend I'm swallowing it.
He's done that before with something. Oh, probably it's broccoli. Great. And then mom looks like you spit it into the napkin.
Oh, I thought he said he puts a broccoli under his bed.
Yeah, he sees all broccoli to do a broccoli breadcrumb.
Okay.
I don't know what's sillier, pills or broccoli. I think pills is.
Well,
silly.
Why would he have broccoli upstairs? Well, in his room, first of all. But what is he going to do with the broccoli? Unless he has a pet rabbit, maybe, or something. You're just saving the broccoli for the rabbit.
Oh, man. So Heather wants to go to Wes's to hear about the script. Talks about the new movie.
Why? Oh, okay. I mean, with all this going on, and by the way, we missed it. There was an 8th earthquake. Okay, so you have your 8th earthquake. You have this kid who's clearly going crazy. He tried to murder you 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
You can think about a script at this point. Your kid's in a hospital that looks like it's possessed by the devil, and you're like, okay, like, you know what? Let me see, about my career. Like, yeah, okay. There's no way, she should not be a parent.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if she was doing a career. Maybe she knew what was going on, that he knew what was going on. Just the fact how eerie it would be if somebody said to you, like, hey, here's this thing that he was writing about. It's like, oh my God, that just happened this morning. How would you know that? It's like such a specific thing.
Yeah, but she's not addressing it. She's
not to him. No, it's weird that she doesn't say anything to Wes. Like, Wes, how did you know that Dylan was going to be reaching for the sky today? I was hanging out with John Saxon in the park. Yeah. He reached and fell and almost died.
Freddie's dead and he doesn't bother my family at all.
Yeah,
right about
the end.
Throw that in
pager. Open, Freddie is there. Freddie decides to quit killing people. The end. He goes on a nice cruise, a carnival cruise. But so Wes mentions about the new nightmare, and then he gets into the weird thing. Because I know, again, to Wes, like the elements of Freddy are something that like was part of his childhood. But he's like, well, yeah, Freddy's real. And then when he utters the line, the only way to stop him is to make another movie. What?
And wait, he knew all this time that Freddy was real and he hid it from them?
Yeah.
So everything that's been going on in your life right now as Nancy, and knowing that all this, your son is in the hospital, your husband was murdered. This all could have been avoided if you knew Freddy was alive, but he kept it from you. But let's still do the movie. Like, you're going to trust Wes at this point?
I don't know, but if I looked at the computer, I'd be freaked out, dude. If that was a real life scenario, like that'd be, I don't know how they do that on like a prank show. How would they know? Like, I guess they could do that. You could use like a mentalist to be the person doing the interview and then somehow know what they could say to get you to say your answer. But
right. If
you look down and you saw a script saying what you were doing or what you're about to say, or that'd be really bizarre. But yeah, the fact that he's able to
doesn't phase it. It doesn't phase her.
She doesn't see it. I know if she would have saw that, I thought she'd be creeped out. But I love his line there too. Again, another like a seed planted for the very, very end. But here, it's up to you whether or not you want to play Nancy one last time. And I'm like, whoa, dude! Like, wow, what a thing you're giving to somebody. Hey, you're actress. You need to kill this guy that can actually kill people in the real world.
Yeah, but that line also sounds like, well, you might not make it because you're playing Nancy one last time. Like, so, and based on what's been going on, and now that this is real life, I don't know if I want to play Nancy anymore.
No.
I mean, like, why would I want to put myself in more danger than it's already in at this current moment? Like, she's already been in a lot of danger, up until this point. So let me make a movie about, with adding danger more. I don't know. I feel like she accepted it way too easy.
Yeah, she's gonna be like, "Hey, can we do just the 10 of us reunion?" I think it was just the 10 of us, or 8 is enough.
Yep,
one of those, because there was the girl that was in Freddy 4 that was in that show too, at the same time with Heather. So now, so the other earthquake that happens, I don't know if it's number 8 that you're talking about, happens when she's home, yes, and somehow she has a ton of books on like child like psychology and all this stuff sprawled over everything. And then the earthquake happens, and dude, when she goes in the closet, that scared the shit out of me. That was so cool. That look of him and the way he opens it up and just the way it's framed out.
Is that where he's wearing a green hat? No.
No, green hat is in the hospital.
Oh, the hospital. Okay.
Rad.
Yeah.
But he says, "Miss me."
Okay, so at this point, why doesn't she check herself into the hospital? I mean, clearly, like, what's been happening these past few days is not normal. You got to start questioning reality. She should be in the hospital.
Oh, 100%. She should have checked herself in. And again, she does go to the hospital. And at the same time, Julie is there. And Julie says, I had this bad dream about Dylan, so I wanted to come to see him. But yes, you're right. She should have went there. She should have admitted herself. But the most important thing is she should have just told the truth of 100%. What was going on.
It might have saved someone's life. So, I mean, so yeah. Okay. All right.
But that doctor, dude, when she slipped it out, like, I forgot Rex, and Rex protects him from Freddy. And she's like, Freddy, the man from your films? Freddy's like Santa Claus or King Kong. Everybody knows him.
All right. So she says, I'll be back. I'm going to get Rex. Your son's in the hospital. How about send Julie? Like, why are you leaving your son yet again? Like she might leave this kid who's been going through traumatic ordeals at least 5 times.
Yeah.
Okay.
And does she even get Rex?
I don't know.
Well, I don't think so,
Rex
because
is destroyed. Rex is destroyed.
Rex is destroyed at the house at the end. So Freddy got out and was like, the first thing to do was kill this bastard. And it's funny, on that list that I looked at, it was like a dead meat fandom. And it has on there the 5th death in this movie was Rex, found all torn up, stuffing everywhere. Hour 30 minutes in, body found.
That's awesome. That's funny.
pretty amazing. But yeah, no, the fact that I don't think she goes to get him, because the next scene is when she's sitting outside his room because she goes, oh, he's in an oxygen room. So she goes in to see him. But this
kid uses Rex for a comfort and protection. And the most important thing probably to the kid, he's probably scared and he's at an hospital. You don't get it? You still put her off? Like, she really and again, and she's playing herself. So I hope she's not really like this in real life.
Yeah. Do you imagine you do the movie? It's like, I'm playing myself, but guys, it's not really me. Like, I don't love my kid.
I don't want people to think I'm a bad mother. I mean, please. Yeah.
But yeah, no, the fact that she's just sitting there and he starts turning into Freddy. Like, the son is turning into Freddy. He vomits black all over her. She's freaking out. And then she jumps onto him, and then nothing happened. None of that was real.
Not only that, when the nurses come in, they don't look phased the fact that she's got this black vomit all over her. Like, it wasn't, first of all, it wasn't normal vomit. And two, the fact that she was drenched in it.
No, it was gone. It was gone.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
they saw it on her. I thought they saw it on her.
Then why would they be like, hey, what is that?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think. No, I think we saw it when she jumped onto the thing, but when they came in, there was nothing. Yeah, because she would have been wet.
She was sitting in a chair with all the black vomit on her.
Yeah, but when she jumped on to get to her son, and then that's when it cut to he wasn't even there, and then that's when it cut to she woke up, and then she didn't have it on her.
Oh, she was sleeping.
She was sleeping.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so another was she sleeping?
This movie is confusing and okay, all right.
Yeah.
Because this is where another confused as we speak about it.
Yeah, another good callback to I should have had a better counter of how many we've had, but so when she leaves the room and the girl there says oh yeah, you need a pass, and she says screw your pass, which is from that original when that girl
was it from the school.
Yeah.
Oh no! Okay.
It was in the school, yeah. But it's just so cool to have all these little things. And this is when Heather leaves. So at this point, Heather's leaving, and Julie's going to stay with Dylan. And the only reason Heather's leaving, she's not even truly leaving. This is you think she wants to leave, but this is when the doctors take her in, the cops pull her into the room and start interrogating her about her son.
But okay, so Heather is planning on leaving when Julie's supposed to be watching the kid, fell asleep, didn't even realize they took him out of the room.
Oh yeah.
And this is who you're leaving. Again, I mean, why would you leave this person with your son? So yeah, okay.
But how about the way the nurses give him the sleeping thing? That's
my gosh,
wild, dude. That is insane. I don't think your mom would want her to have it. And it's all right, what do you have there? And it's shoot him. And she shot the kid.
The fact that they had two of them prepared in case the main woman the nurse didn't couldn't do it. The other one did a sneak attack.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh.
And I love when Julie grabbed it and she goes, I know it's in this. You know it's in this one or something like that. She's weird line
you know what's in yours. Do you know what's in mine or something like that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What is she talking about?
I don't know. Wouldn't it be the same thing? You're telling me the one nurse had a deadly one and the other lady didn't or something?
I said the same thing. I'm like, what is she talking? Did she make one ahead of time and she had it just in case?
Is one piece soup?
And the nurse seemed afraid of it. She was like, all right, maybe she did something different.
She ran. The other one she beat the crap out of.
Oh,
she knocked that lady out.
She punched her twice, right? I think. Did she punch her twice?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah, man. But the fact that they pulled a bait and switch, but again, a cool throwback. I wonder. I should have looked this up, but I really hope that somewhere they still had the breaking two room, the rotating room that they used in the original movie, because that'd be pretty rad if they used it for this scene. To do the kill from the first one. Amanda Weiss's death was just so perfect.
And now at this point, though, they're watching this, right? They see her hanging there in the ceiling, right?
Yes,
it wasn't So like, what are they like?
We don't know what they really see. Like, are we seeing Heather dream of them seeing something and it's really not happening? I don't know.
Well, you don't think they saw her hanging in the ceiling?
I don't know, because in just before that is when we skipped over it, but when he was getting ready to vomit, like when they came into that room and she was she had the vomit all over her, that's when she looked at the nurse, the doctor, the main doctor who's real big, and she turned into Freddie and they were going to give the shot at that time. And then that's when she jumped onto everything. And then that's when she like woke up and didn't have the vomit on her. But
how did she fall asleep again?
I don't know.
She's wait, so she fell asleep twice in like within 10 minutes. Like, yeah, again, trying to watch. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But I do like the line that she says when the doctor's like, he has to be around here somewhere. He has to be somewhere, because that's when Heather got up in the interrogation room and went, she had a weird feeling because Julie was dead. And then that's when they went in there and found the body. They found the body and the kid was gone.
And all the blood all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So the blood they could see, but they can't. But
yeah, I don't know if they saw the body. I don't remember. I know they so looked into the room and we saw it. Her getting dragged around by Freddie in his in his hat, in his green hat. Which is so cool.
Is that a throwback? Green hat? Like, did he have a green hat in any of the movies? Because it was such a different.
Was something with a hat that said Kruger in it. I just don't know what movie it was.
Right. Okay.
Or maybe I'm thinking like it's like the Rocky Balboa hat. It's like in Frosty the Snowman, the hat turned a snowman into a singing jolly soul, but in Rocky, the hat turned you into a bumbling moron. You turned it from a rich guy to, hey, yo, I got this ball in my pocket. I'm going to throw it against the wall.
Really the worst transition, because, granted, you're going to have some brain damage, but you have to throw on the gloves and the hat, to go along.
You have to be homeless.
So, yeah. They didn't even notice the kid walking out. No one noticed the kid leaving.
Oh yeah, he's got to be around here somewhere. Oh, but Heather, he has so many. They got them with the medication. He's not going to go far. He sleepwalks, you idiot.
So ridiculous. Man, dude. So see, now that's the question. So is he really sleepwalking? Or is he sleeping and we're seeing him walking? So he should be still like that's why.
Is any of this happening? For the rest of the movie, like, does Heather fall asleep from now until the end of the movie? I would say no. She's walking across the street. She's not sleeping while that's happening. And there has to be. There has to be something else.
I'm saying online, there's got to be some kind of explanation. Someone has to, get it from. I wonder if Wes ever had like an interview explaining something, or
Yeah. No. Essentially, throughout the movie, I would say that's like. Maybe me just being like very picky, but for the end of the movie, like the final act of the movie, like, is this really happening?
Well, that's because it's almost like you leave it up to the audience at the end of the movie,
which is fun.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it doesn't change. It's still a great movie. But the more we talk about it now, I really need to have it, because we're talking about all these different scenes that. Is it happening? Is it not happening? Who's seeing it? What's, like going on? And it's, I'd be curious to see, if we could find anything on it.
Yeah. When when Dylan's crossing the street, he looks back over, which looks like an empty, like, it's like when the black fence, like during construction, and you see all the Freddies.
Oh my gosh.
That's like top notch shot of the franchise. It was just so cool to see that. And the kid basically was like, shit, I got to do something. Because there's a few times he is like Miko, I think his name's Miko Hughes. He, as such, he's like, you would think, no way. Obviously, it's a movie, but a kid would even think about doing that. But he was put in this position like, I'm going to die if I don't do that. Because even at the end of the movie, he does something that I'm like, why would you put yourself into an incinerator? And
he plays that incinerator was ridiculous, but he's playing Frogger with the highway. I mean, he's literally just walking, and again, like. Is this real? Because Nancy gets slammed by a car.
Yes. So did she get knocked out there? Did she get knocked out there? And then that's why John Saxton is her dad again, and he's calling her Nancy? Is that why?
If she didn't get knocked out there, she's strong as hell, because she got up and went after the kid I mean, we're not talking about, a car on the side street. We're talking about a highway. This car slammed into her. So, yeah. I've only seen one person get up from a car like that, and it was John Wick. He got hit by a car. He got hit by a car in Europe, and he got up and started fighting. But that's John Wick.
Nice. That is pretty nice.
Okay.
He's like a superhero. Maybe he was sleeping. Maybe it was a dream sequence for John Wick. But I do love that she calls John Saxon to like help out. And just that whole interaction. First of all, it really goes back to who his character was in the original, Bad Parent. He's like, Heather, Nancy, let's go outside. He'll be fine. Like, again, this traumatic experience just happened. Just leave this kid alone in this house with no lights on.
And why is he the one she calls? She needs help. There's like a lot of. So she calls another fellow actor.
Well, I guess that's her father figure in Hollywood because they already met the last time after the death.
Listen, the funeral had a lot of people. Her husband's funeral had a lot there. She couldn't call any one of those people that are clearly family or whatever. Like, oh, okay. Well, that's got to be weird then. We're hooking up, but like, don't forget, we're playing father and daughter in this next scene.
You played me yeah, that would be really weird. That'd be bizarre. But but even that whole scene's great when it's like, why are you calling me John? Yeah. And they zoom in and show the police badge because he was a cop in the original movie. And even she's like, I love when she's like, can you please do me a favor, John? Can you call? Because, that's why he said, why are you calling me John? Oh, can you call Robert? Robert who? Yep. Yeah. Fred Krueger's dead. You're turning crazy like your mom.
Was that the original house when she turns around? Was that the Elm Street house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then she went back into her own house.
Yeah,
so
you
only saw like the outside of the
outside.
Original. Yeah. Which is really cool. But I do love that that she like at the point like gives in. I don't know what that is. She's like, all right, bye, Dad. Or love you, Dad. She says that line after all this crazy, and she like kind of gives into it.
So
she calls him Daddy. I wrote Daddy.
Yeah.
Bye, Daddy. Weird. Very, it is weird. Very weird. She turns around. It's the original Elm Street house, and she goes into the house. The TV's still unplugged, still playing Nightmare on Elm Street, and this is where she finds like the breadcrumbs of sleeping pills. And everyone's favorite version of Hansel and Gretel.
Okay, wait a second. Wait. So how long was this kid in the hospital for?
Maybe a day. Probably a day.
He's got 30 sleeping pills?
That is true.
I mean, there were a lot of sleeping pills, and she was eating them all. Like, every time she picked it up, she was throwing it in her mouth. Like, wouldn't like one or two be enough? Like, she literally kept putting them in there. But the fact that there was a lot. I mean, the kid left like a full trail. Where did he get them all from?
Yeah, because we only saw her pick up like the first few, and they were close to each other. Yeah, and his room was far, and she moved a lot. So yeah, there must have been like 20 or 30 of them that she was like scarfing down the whole way.
Okay, all right. So she was taking all the pills. He somehow found all the pills. Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you know Freddie?
So in this whole scenario, he was putting them under his pillow, and he knew that, oh shit, this is my last time under the pillow. Let me put them all on me. So he must have pockets.
I was just going to say that. How did he have pockets? I mean, that's so. And how did she know that? That's not like Freddie, like putting like dangerous drugs, luring her. How did she know it was a kid? But how did she know it was a kid? I mean, she just finds random pills on the floor. She starts eating them.
Could you imagine if Freddie didn't do that? Just pick up like random. Yeah, what's that? What's this? Everything.
Okay.
Oh man, dude. So when she takes those loose pills and she goes down to like that boiler room hellscape. Oh my god, dude. That is such a cool...
just to get down there, that tunnel from the bed sheets was very cool. Like that was a cool effect. But yeah, what was that? Like, was that the underworld? Like what was that?
I guess it's hell. I guess it's some kind of hell.
So that's basically what they're saying. Like the real Freddy is now
he turns into. I think it's open for interpretation, but he kind of looked like Satan, right? When he CGI's for like five seconds.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what that is, hell. But for the rest of the movie, which at this point, I think it's 20 minutes left of actual, like not including credits. And this is like, you get great He even throws bitch at the end of lines.
Yes.
So he is talking like Robert would in the original films. But
in the original, like I said, it wasn't comedy. It wasn't a lot of comedy. It was more again, like because the first two really were more on the scarier part. Like it was a more serious Freddy, and then it changed. So like but they also had the throwback of the long arms. That was in one of the other movies. I know,
dude. That was a good one. Like, that was a really good one. Just watching him stretch Armstrong, and it looked as silly as it did.
Oh, 100%.
Like, to see that, like, to try to get the kid.
But so first of all, the fact that the kid is in the boiler, I mean, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
But isn't Freddy afraid of fire? Supposed to be afraid of fire?
Yeah, I think that's something that was ruined after the first movie. They forgot about that because even the second movie, he has fire all around him when he goes, "You're all my children now," and there's like fire around him. It's like, hey, dude, you don't like fire. It's like if the Scarecrow was just like, hey, you don't want to light a match? Like it wouldn't be that. Like in this movie, it seems like we're gonna forget about that. Because of course. And the fact that she finds the script at this point and she's looking at the pages and it's exactly what's happening. She sees Dylan. She has a knife that she brought down there. And then the first thing she does when she hugs her kid, she throws the knife away. Like, what the hell? Keep that on you.
Yeah. And again, the fact that she's seeing this script yet again, like, how can you possibly want to do this movie? Clearly, it's like, it's such a bizarre thing. That's, and again, this is going back to, I think the whole movie's a dream. I just wish they would somehow explain why she's cut at the end or whatever, like messed up because all this doesn't make sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't. But again, Freddy, nice battle. Like, just like the original, they had a nice fight scene, like going back and forth, like when she's holding her kid. And it was good. But it's always good action with Freddy.
It is, but he's Freddy. Like, how does he have trouble dealing with like a mom and a knife or whatever, like a battle, like
special. Fight? That's what the final girls are. They have something about them, like Alice Johnson. There's something.
Yeah.
They never talk about what it is. Like, I don't know if they would ever sprinkle in like some kind of religious, because it's like Freddy is like devil, like Satan.
Right. Correct.
So it would have been good if they did something because I don't know what they would add in.
He could create whatever he wants. I mean, he could do whatever he wants. He's kind of like Beetlejuice. Right, Freddy's kind of like Beetlejuice, right? And so, like, but so he should be able to like throw traps in a way or wrap his long arms around her so she can't move. I mean, like,
well, he never does.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. But okay, so I mean, that was the silliest part. I think when he kept doing that, that was a silly part. Like they had to throw a little silly in there.
So, well, how about when the kid was like trying to stab the end of the tongue that was going back and forth, and he's like,
the tongue is moving.
He had such a fear of the kid stabbing the tongue that he was like, his eyes were like telling.
He had such control of that tongue to move around. And how about the fact that his tongue was split when it went all the way back inside his mouth? It was split. It was like a snake.
Oh yeah, he was like a snake. But like, could you imagine like having a tongue that long? Like, would it be like us? Like, we can only like control. Like, it's not like we can do anything with the far back of it. Like that thing that's that long. How would your mind really be able to choose? Like, okay, of this like 100-foot tongue, I only want to move the last foot.
Do you think it's stretched out, or do you think it's really that long? Like, do you think he's able to stretch it? Because if it's that long, how is he keeping? Like, does he have it rolled up in his mouth?
Yeah, it's like through by the foot in his mouth.
Like a hose. Like he's rolling it up like a hose. Because I mean, yeah. All right, I'm thinking it's stretching. So like it like unwinds like it was like a rubber band, and you let it go and it goes all the way back in. That's what I think.
But when the kid stabs him. But anyway, before we get there, so yeah, they're having like a nice cool battle. Dude, he throws the crap out of her, and that's when I talked to Bill Hunt. Like, he worked on this for a little bit, and he designed like those eels. So the eels that she gets thrown into, and then the eel that like she stabs Freddy in the eels are always ready to bite. Because she puts the eel right near his eye, and it bites his eye.
And Freddy is limping at one point in this movie, like he's hurt. Like,
well, the kid saves the day, so this is where the kid
No, I know.
Stabs, yeah.
Okay, but he's an entity. He's in his
that's
world.
What I mean.
Like,
it's silly, yeah.
It makes no sense that he can get hurt, that he's gonna actually be limping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you wouldn't believe that Freddy, no matter what, would be injured because he's not really in the real world because she's dreaming. Like, this is a dream.
That's what it is.
She took
in the real
world
world
to fall asleep.
Correct. And in the old movies, he only gets hurt when he's pulled out of the real out of his world. So the fact that he's getting hurt down here makes no sense.
Which is still the coolest. I feel like I have to watch that tonight. That end of the first movie is really the coolest thing. Oh yeah, the hat is an homage to the original. Was he always wearing a hat?
He wore a hat, but I don't think it was green like that.
No, it wasn't green like that. I'm trying to think in like 3, 4, 5. Is he wearing?
He always had a hat. He always had it. He always has.
Oh, he did. Okay.
It's like an Indiana Jones hat. He has like an Indiana Jones hat. Yeah.
I don't know why. No, I was thinking when Nancy figured that out, she took his hat. It said Kruger. Correct. And then even at that point in that movie, nobody was like, it's kind of weird that she pulled a hat out of a dream.
Yeah.
You know, you can go home, girl. Yeah, you can go home. That's fine. But no. So they're really battling. Kid saves the day because he's a little psycho. He grabs that knife, multiple stabs. Even the mom was like, Dylan, no. Like, he's helping you. Like, you'd be.
Yeah.
But what is.
He didn't even seem afraid, the kid, at this point. I mean, like.
No fear.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
He's a man of the house now. So I guess he has to like step up, and then Freddy knocks out the mom. And what is the line he says when he goes after the kid? Hey, I got some gingerbread for you. Weird.
I wrote, and I don't know why I wrote it down. I wrote down Freddy eating. Was he eating something in this movie?
Well, he's trying to eat the kid.
The kid. Oh yeah, duh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
That was like Coneheads. It's like that Coneheads bit. When the mouth goes so big. But he's getting ready to eat a kid in this movie after the kid goes to the incinerator. But the thing that screws Freddy, again, a callback to the other movies, is when he scratches his claw on the inside of the door of the incinerator, and that wakes up Nancy. Yeah. And then that's when he goes into the Stretch Armstrong Freddy, and then Nancy gets up, and it's so cool they did the throwbacks. Is that this is one of those movies that you watch it blind, it's probably still a good movie, but when you watch it, like being a fan and seeing all the movies,
and where it's coming from.
Oh, dude, the oatmeal stairs. The fact that they did the oatmeal stairs again, which I hope they did the same way they did in the original, just pouring oatmeal and like making that gross mixture because it looked the same. It was just really cool that she couldn't get up the stairs in time, and man, so good.
So let me ask you. So first of all, I've never been in the furnace before, but like, is it like a whole room like that? It looked like he was. It looked like he was in a sauna.
It was almost like it was like I'd never seen an incinerator for like the like the old school movies, and it's like like even Seinfeld, which is like from the 90s.
It looked like he had a bench in there. The kid was sitting on a bench.
It did look like that. Yeah.
Like I said, he was in a sauna, and doesn't the kid come out of the sauna from a different spot?
Yeah. You know what's funny? I remember the movie because again I watched it when it came out. Like when I was a kid, I rented it. But when I watched it a few months ago, I'm like, oh yeah, how is he going to get out of there? I thought he would get out pretty quick. Like, hey, let me go in this side. I'll go out the back and like somehow get him in there. Because again, that's the Hansel and Gretel thing too, pushing the evil witch into the oven.
But why would there be a back door to it?
Great question. Yeah, I guess just in case the witch locks herself in by accident.
Not to mention everything in there is metal. You know how hot that door would be?
Oh my god, it should be melting. He had burns all over his hands.
Yeah. And okay, so here's another question here. So Freddy is doing the arm thing. Why does it take so long to get to the kid? It's like the slowest moving thing. Like, I mean, listen, if you have the ability to actually have your arms extend like that, but it can only go like it's like an inch a second. Like, what's the point? Like, it literally looked like it took. She had enough time to climb this oatmeal stairs before he even got close to the kid. It's so ridiculous.
I do love it. It reminds me of like the movies when they hit the button, like Roger Rabbit when they have the gun.
Yes.
And you hit the button and the punch and the boxing glove comes out.
Yep.
Like that's what it looked like exactly. Well, I think that's what what they did in the original, but and it's so cool. Even when they showed that scene in the original while the kid was watching at one point. So it's like I wonder if all the other scenes, if I looked at a little more, were they the same? Oh, you know what? I think it was because they showed Amanda Weiss in the hallway, her death, and that was kind of the scene like screw your hall pass. So maybe there were a few like that. But yeah, the fact that with the whole tongue wrap around and then Dylan grabs the knife and just luckily stabs the end of the Freddy tongue. Freddy from that is like, oh, he falls in. They lock him in and they turned up the heat. And then we see like CGI Freddy start like burning and turning into like this devilish creature. And then hell exploded. Like this hellscape starts exploding. And they just start running. And then somehow they're
how'd they know where to go to get back into, because she fell into water when she came out of the sheet. So how'd she find her way back to the bed?
Great question.
Where they're running.
Yeah, it's like they woke up. And the fact that they were reading the end of the script, it was like, really? Like, so now to your point, if she didn't have all of that, if she was perfectly fine looking, then, I would think,
that makes it,
boom,
she just read the whole movie. Makes it too easy. That makes it too easy. I know. Right?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it doesn't explain why she has the cuts then. So like, because again, if the first thing you think about doing is reading the script of a movie that like that's basically been your life the past, 2 days, so yeah, I'm going to have to do, go down the rabbit hole on this one. Yeah.
But I do love the last thing in the movie, like when she's finishing the script and the note from Wes. I wish they would have showed it a little bit better. I wrote down most of it. It was like, Heather, thanks for having the guts to play Nancy one last time. At last, Freddy's back where he belongs. Pretty cool.
Well, but is it back where he belongs? Because she's making the movie again. Yeah, but she's making the movie again. What was the title of the movie?
Crazy. See, that'd be crazy. If like after all this, she still made a movie. Oh, you know what? This traumatic thing happened. My husband died, and people know I died. Our babysitter. I gotta find a new babysitter. Could you imagine again? Just the way they were trying to sell that house in Springwood, people kept buying the Elm Street house. Just think about that. Like, imagine like the babysitter. Oh, so how'd you lose your last babysitter? Funny story. There was an entity.
Is the name of the movie New Nightmare? I mean, the name of the script?
The script, I forget what the cover said. I would hope so.
Okay. All right.
It'd be interesting if it was a different movie. Yeah. It was obviously the movie we just watched because it was like, as Dylan and Nancy read the script or whatever. The end scene. That's it.
So weird. Yeah.
But so that was Wes Craven's New Nightmare. A movie that, again, Wes wanted to do something with it. He wasn't a big fan of doing sequels, like for the most part, that were like in name only ones. But the ones that he worked on were like, always like, hey, we're taking it a different like route. Even with the Scream movies, like obviously they had like Nev Campbell still and some of those original characters from the first movie. There was always like different kind of things, different settings. But with Freddy, he had to be in Springwood. It was never like Freddy was like getting people wherever they fell asleep. So Jamie, would you recommend somebody watch this movie? I know when we started this, you were talking about like, that doesn't matter, those things, but it seemed like they matter to you now.
No, absolutely. You got to watch it. I mean, it is one of the better ones. Well, I don't want to say better because I like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and I haven't seen some of them in a while. So maybe the other one's a little bit more dated. It's definitely a different take on Nightmare on Elm Street, a different Freddy. I mean, I like the funny Freddy. So, I'm kind of biased with that. I think you could see this as a standalone movie, without ever seeing the other Nightmare on Elm Streets. It's a story in its own. And honestly, the kid, I thought was awesome as an actor. And I think just like I said, as a standalone movie without ever seeing the other ones, I think people would still enjoy it.
You know what? We talked about this recently with like Evil Dead 2 and even like Castaway. It's very rare that a movie could be that good with just like the one actor. But when it comes to a kid actor, like Freddy didn't need to be in the movie that much. Like we saw, I know, but I'm like, that's what's crazy about it. Like we didn't see Freddy like as Freddy, like it was like the closet. Well, the casket was the first time. That wasn't long. Closet, not that long.
Yep.
And there's like
you didn't
not
see him
that
until
much.
the end. You really didn't see him until the end. I mean,
you're right. Yeah.
So and this kid, like again, like I said, you take Freddy out of the movie. This is like a Damien. You know, the kid plays like that kind of role in this. That you're questioning, like what kind, like is he the son of Satan? Like, you know, like the way he's acting.
Of Satan.
So I think I mean, the movie is. I mean, even if you didn't see the other movies, you wouldn't understand the throwbacks, so it wouldn't make a difference. Like you're not going to know their throwbacks anyway. So I think it's definitely should be watched.
Yeah, no, I agree because it was just Wes doing what he does, like reinventing some type of genre or taking a story that was his original story and somehow spinning that to be like the most original thing possible. And just how meta it was, like you said, it really bleeds into what Scream was and what Scream turned into. It was still phenomenal.
It's great to see that line, the way it goes.
Movie. Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah. So, so next up we have Friday the 13th next week. It was funny, like we were just at me, Jamie, our horror sequel expert, Egan, who's got to come back soon. Maybe we'll see if he's available next week. And our mostly bad sequel expert, Nick. We went to Mahoning Drive-In in Pennsylvania for what was the name of it? Camp Blood 10. We saw we went on the day. They had parts 5, 6, and 7, and they had the final girls from part 1 and 2. I felt so bad just going up and not wanting an autograph to be able to ask them for an interview. So we are calling in. We're using our hall pass.
I'm giving you a hall pass.
A what?
A what?
A what?
A hall pass.
I'm giving you a hall pass.
I think you made that perfectly.
By the way, I want to say this is our podcast hall pass, not our individual, not our individual. Correct.
We're still have a hall pass left. Year. Have we used any hall passes this year? No, right?
We have not.
I think we've been chock full interviews, and we've got so many lined up. It is wild. For the rest of the year, I am going to be able to talk to somebody that was a staple into my movie watching, in the great Rhonda Shear, USA Up All Night, in a few weeks, which to me is like, wow, like Jason Takes Manhattan I saw on USA Up All Night. So it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, man. So we're going to do, we only have 3 Friday the 13th left, but I think it's perfect to do Friday the 13th, 2009. I actually got to see this one in the movie theater. So I think it'd be cool because I think nothing different between interviewing somebody from this one versus parts 2 and 3. But eventually when we do get somebody parts 2 and 3, I think those movies are very special because of when they're shot and how important they are to the series. Like the first time Jason becomes something, and it's like, well, who is going to be this Jason? Like, and then the third one, when he finally dons the iconic hockey mask. If you're watching on video, it's behind me. So it'll be a lot of fun. Jamie, you never saw 2009, right?
I never saw the new one.
Great movie. Wow, man. It is so cool. Lots of familiar faces in the cast. And really, really rad. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.